Hey, what's up, guys? Geek Hustlers coming back at y'all today with another video. And this time, I'm going to be kind of giving my thoughts on the new Ratchet and Clank PlayStation 5 game that's going to be dropping soon around June, from what I remember, because Sony recently released a trailer showing the release date of that game. So, Ratchet and Clank PlayStation 5, brief history with Ratchet and Clank right next to Crash Bandicoot. Excuse me. Right next to Crash Bandicoot and Sonic the Hedgehog, Ratchet and Clank was definitely the third franchise I grew up with easily. I was always invested in the worlds, the weapons, the gadgets. I've always enjoyed the sci-fi feel. Some of the earlier stories were definitely some of my favorite video game stories of all time, and still are to this day. I feel like Ratchet and Clank PlayStation 3 Future: A Crack in Time was the last good Ratchet and Clank game, in my opinion, and everything else after that has just been subpar, below average, or just trash. So, yeah, that's definitely my stance on Ratchet and Clank as of right now. How do I feel about Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart? I don't know. It definitely has that look and feel that Ratchet and Clank PlayStation 4 had. Which didn't surprise me. Ratchet & Clank PlayStation 4 to me was a very mid game. I didn't think it was terrible. I didn't think it was impressive. I did get the platinum in it, of course, being a hardcore fan of the series. But I mean, that game was just so basic and uninteresting. Ratchet and Clank barely interacted with each other. And of course, I like the original Ratchet and Clank game so much more than the reboot movie tie-in thing that they did around 2016, from what I remember. So yeah, moving on from that, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Let's get started with the elephant in the room, female Lombax, which certain Ratchet and Clank fans have definitely taken a curious liking to her. I see. But Ratchet and Clank, you know, they're getting challenged by Dr. Nefarious again. They get separated. Clank ends up in this alternate dimension from what we've seen from the trailer, and Clank meets this white Lombax. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and kind of theorize a little bit, and I'm going to say that I think that the Lombaxes, this is the dimension that the Lombaxes escaped to during Tachyon's attack around the day where the Lombaxes had went missing. And I think she's one of them. I could be wrong, and maybe she's just the hero, the heroine of this particular mirror dimension, this weird, different dimension. Maybe that's what's going on. But I'm willing to bet. I think that there is a huge refuge of Lombaxes kind of in this dimension that they had escaped to. And yeah, they're kind of banding together, kind of fighting this alternate version of Dr. Nefarious and dealing with him. I think that's what could be going on. That's probably what's going on. I don't know. I hope that's what's going on, because that would be very interesting. That would be some nice plot progression in Ratchet's life story. Finally, we get to see these Lombaxes that went missing for so long. I mean, can we please just see that? I really hope that's what it is. And judging from the box art and what we heard from the developers, it looks like she'll be a second playable character. And you know, other playable characters in Ratchet and Clank, that's not really a thing. Aside from All for One, that's not really a thing in Ratchet and Clank. We usually, you know, we have skins, and we have the AI helping us, like in the Future games, the old Ratchet and Clank Future series on Sony PlayStation 3. We don't really get to control them though. And yeah, that is definitely something that interests me. That's definitely a direction that I've never seen Insomniac take before in this franchise. So I'm curious to see what she can do. From what I saw on the pre-order bonuses, it looks like she has her own set of armor that she can purchase as well, just like Ratchet. The pre-order bonus armor being the Going Commando final armor from my favorite Ratchet and Clank game of all time. I think it was the I forgot, the electromagnetic armor. I forgot. Y'all can remind me in the comments if you choose to. But yeah, that is the armor that you get with a pre-order bonus, and I see what they did there. I see what they did there. Knowing Insomniac, you can probably still get the armor in the game. even if you don't pre-order it. Kind of similar to what they had did with Spider-Man PS4. So moving on from that, yeah, I am curious about this female Lombax. She kind of has this hammer type tool weapon. Unlike Ratchet's Omni Wrench, she has a hammer. I don't really know her personality yet. I mean, she literally said one word, so I don't know much about her. I do like her design. You know, at first glance, when I first saw her, I kind of connected her to Alistair Azimuth, but there can't be any correlation to that, especially when you consider my theory that I had. We know that not Dr. Nefarious, I was gonna say him. We know that Alistair Azimuth wasn't allowed to join the Lombaxes in their, you know, pursuit to this other dimension on that day of Tachyon's attack. As explained in Ratchet and Clank Future: A Crack in Time, my second favorite Ratchet and Clank game. So, moving on from that, yeah, going into game length and weapons. Now, before I go into weapons, I will be talking about game length, and that's something I'm worried about. I hope this game isn't short like Ratchet and Clank PlayStation 4, because as we know, this is a full price $70 game. There's no way you're gonna have us playing like 7 or 8 planets, and then that's the end of it. This game should at least have nearly 20 planets, with a lot of, you know, exploration options just scattered everywhere, because Ratchet and Clank PS4 didn't feel like a full package experience. I was very disappointed with that game and what we had gotten. It wasn't the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely one of my least favorite Ratchet and Clank games in the series. But I will say this: that game easily stomps Full Frontal Assault, All for One, and Rift into the Nexus. Easily, I will say that. But moving on from that, game length, for the price that they're asking us to pay for this game, I would definitely hope that this game isn't just some short little 10-hour adventure that you can finish in like a day. I mean, come on, man. Like, I think by this time we need to increase that game length and kind of go back to the old structure from the original OG trilogy and take notes from that and have the game be longer when it comes to length, because that's something that I'm looking forward to. This is supposed to be a huge game. I mean, you know, this is a game to test the, you know, the fast loading times. There are no loading times on PlayStation 5, supposedly, and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is sort of a way to test how fast the specs truly are on PlayStation 5. So, if we're going to be going through like different planets, as we had seen in the demo that we had gotten, the gameplay footage, I would love to see them gig this out. I want to see Axiom City. I want to see Zeldrin's Zeldrin spaceport from Ratchet and Clank 3. I want to see Dread Zone. I want to see Ratchet and Clank get sent through all of these old planets. We did kind of see some old planets from that gameplay footage. I would definitely love to see all of these old planets just come up, and some old villains as well. The game developers, as they've shown, they're definitely pretty secretive. They're keeping a lot of things close to them and not telling us anything, which I like, which is good. Okay, good. Don't give me anything. I don't want to know crap. I don't want to know anything. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to what they're willing to do with the planets and the game length that will hopefully be long. So moving on to weapons, of course we are going to have our traditional shotgun, traditional blaster, and traditional grenade launcher, basic starter weapons that we usually get when it comes to Ratchet and Clank. I want them to gig out the weapons, things we had never seen before, just to throw out some suggestions. Wouldn't it be interesting if Ratchet could like call in his own little mini ships with like this glove weapon? Like, think about it. He's able to, or not only that, if you're a huge Ratchet and Clank fan, you know this. The background ships that we see flying in the background, Ratchet can like have this glove that kind of takes control of the ships, and he, this is kind of like the Visibomb from the earlier games, only it's much more interesting. He can kind of take control of the drop ships in the background and control them himself. and that kind of goes into the hypnomatic ray from Ratchet and Clank 2, kind of putting the Visi Bomb in crap, I'm getting my words twisted. The hypnomatic gadget from Ratchet and Clank 2 and the Visi Bomb weapon, putting those two together and kind of doing something like this. That would be very interesting. Insomniac has not gigged out Ratchet and Clank fully just yet. Also, what would be very interesting, something I would personally love to see, is Ratchet holding two guns at the same time. Now, I don't think it'll happen, but it would be great if at least the female Lombax could do it. She's holding two weapons at the same time. Like, for example, she's holding a shotgun and she's holding a pistol gun or whatever in both of her hands. I would love to see something like that. The last time we saw Ratchet dual wielding two guns was back in the day when Ratchet Deadlock had came out back in 2005. From what I remember, it's been a really long time. Yeah, and Ratchet and Clank Size Matters, not that good of a game, mainly when it comes to the PS2 version. Yeah, Ratchet and Clank Size Does Matter or whatever, really strange title. When you fully upgrade the pistol in that game, it becomes two guns. And whenever I saw Ratchet dual wielding, I mean, that was just so cool. Like, can we please get a gun like that, or at least kind of have, you know, something like that going on with the female Lombax, holding two weapons at the same time. And there are many more weapon ideas that I have in mind. But yeah, moving on so we don't drag this video out. So moving on to the story. I saw that Dr. Nefarious is the main antagonist of the villain. I mean, he might be. Hopefully he's not. Look, man, I think we've seen enough of Dr. Nefarious being the main antagonist of the story. You know, he's been the main antagonist, rightfully so, in Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. He was also the main antagonist in A Crack in Time, aside from Alistair Azimuth, of course. And he was kind of an antagonist in All for One, and then after that he became an anti-hero who had no choice but to work with Ratchet, Clank, and Quark, which I thought was pretty hilarious. Dr. Nefarious made that game for me, honestly. And yeah, that's kind of it. And oh yeah, and he was also the main antagonist within Ratchet and Clank PlayStation 4, and it's getting old at this point. Like, I mean, that's like 3 times, 3.5 if you want to count the few minutes that he was the main antagonist of Ratchet and Clank All for One at the beginning of the game. It's getting old, and I think Insomniac is aware of the fact that they are definitely overusing Nefarious. No more. Hopefully he's just a villain and he's not the main villain, and we get either somebody completely new or we get an old villain this time around. I kind of heard whisperings and rumors about us seeing old villains. And man, I hope we see Gleeman Vox, Chairman Drek. I hope we see maybe the Monster Protopet show up at least. If we don't get Drek or Vox, I better see the Monster Protopet from Going Commando show up at least once while Ratchet and Clank are crossing through the dimensions. You know, they're like running around in these dimensions, and then eventually they kind of get warped back to the point where they were fighting the mutant Protopet from Ratchet and Clank 2, and Ratchet and Clank are kind of like running away from it because they don't really have the means to deal with it at the time. Or maybe they would, I don't know. But that would be very fun to see, because we saw, you know, we saw in the trailer that Ratchet and Clank were fighting the pirates from the old Future games, and that was just so cool. I mean, as somebody who's played every single game, almost every single game in the series, I know all the references, I know all the callbacks, so it would be great to see Insomniac go the extra mile and do something like that. And moving on back to the story, I want to see how the story plays out. You know, are we going to figure out if Ratchet's really going to be reunited with the Lombaxes somehow? Excuse me, burped 3 times in this video. Oh, I apologize. So, yeah, are we going to find out if Ratchet truly sees and meets the Lombaxes in this dimension? Are we going to find that out? Is Clank going to discover anything else about himself? Which I don't know if that'll be the case, because we kind of already know everything about Clank at this point, considering that everything we've learned from A Crack in Time. But yeah, man, I just really want this story to be interesting. Me personally, I don't think the story will be anything to write home about. I mean, this is a modern Ratchet and Clank game. Or maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope to God I'm wrong, man. I really want this story to kind of be something just as good as Crack in Time, if not better. So moving on from that, next up, I'm going to go in how Ratchet will interact with the girl Lombax. You know, I'm kind of imagining a Nathan Drake and Chloe thing going on here. Maybe that's how they'll interact, or maybe you know, maybe Ratchet will kind of be you know, jealous of her a little bit because he's never really met a female Lombax who's just as skilled as him when it comes to machinery. Maybe she does more than him at first, and Ratchet kind of gets a little competitive with her, and Clank is kind of praising her intelligence. I see that happening, honestly, because, you know, Insomniac, you know, they are about that representation, so I kind of see something like that going on. I'm just gonna prepare myself for it. I'm calling it now. Yeah, I do see something like that going on. You know, Clank, he has that dorky laugh, and he says, "Wow, your intelligence is remarkable," something like that. And Ratchet, he kind of gets in his feelings. He gets a little jealous, and he's like, "Dude, come on, man. I mean, I've built something like that too. I mean, you know, Ratchet, he kind of can be a little competitive at times, but who knows? Maybe that won't happen." And Ratchet and this new Lombax chick will immediately, you know, hit it off and be friends. I don't know. I don't want anything like that. I just like conflict to, you know, a relationship before it, you know, matures. They move past that, grow and learn from it, and the relationship becomes the best that it can be. Kind of like how Ratchet and Clank started out, because in Ratchet and Clank 1, man, them two hated each other. I mean, especially after, you know, Quark had tricked them and Ratchet had blamed it on Clank throughout the game. I really, as a kid, I always enjoyed that journey, and in the end, you know, how Ratchet and Clank kind of, you know, learn to finally accept each other as comrades and move on. The part where Ratchet says, "Hey, we got to fix that arm," and we hear that epic score, and Ratchet and Clank are kind of like walking off into the distance, and then that's when the credits play. I mean, it's the beginning to a legendary duo, and I love stuff like that. So give me something like that with Ratchet and the female Lombax, and maybe she'll become a mainstay moving forward. Looking at her, she kind of does have the potential to be a stay character in future games. But anyway, that's all I got to say about Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. You know, I'm going into this game expecting not too much. I'm expecting a kind of subpar mid Ratchet and Clank game compared to Ratchet and Clank PS4. Maybe it'll be much better than I hope. I hope I'm wrong. I just don't like to kind of build myself up for disappointment. So yeah, I'm definitely hoping that Insomniac pulls out all the stunts with this one and goes all out. Don't hold back. Don't give us anything mid. I trust you, Insomniac. Please, please, crush Ratchet and Clank PlayStation 4. But anyway, man, I'll catch y'all boys and girls next time. Hit the notifications bell if you choose to. Subscribe for many, many more videos. I upload 2 videos a day if I feel like it. And yep, that's about it. Geek Hustle is out. Peace.